Well, hello there and welcome back. My name is Elena.
And I am Fotios. And this is the Game Court.
Today's video is all about the game of the month, and this month we chose Arborea.
Arborea is a 1 to 5 player game designed by Dani Garcia and published by Alley Cat Games.
In this very beautiful Euro game, you are a woodland spirit. You will try to build your own ecosystem to gather as many creatures as you can.
And from a mechanical point of view, this system features worker placement, a set system of resources, but also some time laying for your ecosystem. A key element of the game, though, is how you interact with time, and you interact with time in two different ways. First of all, there are 4 pilgrimage, each of which has 2 shades attached. And in the pilgrimage you have tracks and you progress your workers, and the more you keep your workers on these tracks, then the better the benefits will become. But also another session of time in the game is with regards to getting the creatures before you get them in your personal board, how you make the creatures available for all players. This is basically how the game triggers.
During your turn, you can do one of the followings. You can either place a worker on one of the pilgrimage tracks or move one of the pilgrimage tracks. You can then use your workers to come off the truck wherever you prefer, and you can activate up to 2 workers, but you can spend spirit on top of that to do an extra action, as you can do in the first part of the round. After you have activated all your workers and you have gathered all the biomes, which are technically resources, you can complete one of the ecosystem cards, which will allow you to place it in your own tableau. Also at this point you can collect creatures if there are creatures to collect and if you have the space. And after all of this, you collect points for the resources that you have not used and advance the tracks.
In the game, there are 3 different types of workers. There are the elders, which are the bigger, chunkier meeples, which after you use them in a path, they come back to your tableau ready to be used again. But there are also 2 different types of smaller workers, the youngs and the veterans, which you can make available, but if you use them to go to a path, to give you different cool stuff, then they come back to your board, but in different areas, then you have to hire them again, basically.
In this game, there are 6 different creatures for you to invite onto your tableau, and all of them score differently, and they do different things. Some of them pair with the other. But the idea is to make your tableau as inviting as possible. The bigger the colored area that matches the creature, the more the points at the end.
And you cannot place your creatures too close to each other because they're going to fight. You have to leave at least 1 space apart between 2 creatures.
I know.
Yes, not too close, yes.
Some of them score orthogonally, and the easiest way to actually place them is diagonally away, which makes it quite difficult because the scoring is important, but it's more important to have animals to score them.
Another consideration in the game that you have to pay attention to is the sages, which each pilgrimage track has 2 sages, and you can give them gifts, and as you give them gifts, they're going to give you back stuff, a lot of stuff. So the more you invest in them, the more you're going to get back from them. And you can both give gifts and also get stuff back by advancing in the paths after you got off a track, or by building cards in your ecosystem, which also should give you some rewards.
This game comes with an absolutely excellent art and a very good production. The theme is all whimsical and fairy-like, and it's all like a story, if anything. Everything is very beautiful about this game, and to be perfectly honest, I think this is how I was very drawn to play this game. I think you were not particularly interested, and that's what it is. But I think the first thing that drew me into this game is actually the art and how beautiful it looks. I mean, look how beautiful this is. And if you look on the back of it, it shows you all the game on the back and how the board looks and how it plays. And I didn't even care how the game played to begin with because it's so beautiful. So I actually got the game initially to play it because it was so beautiful. And we played it and it was such a good game. And it's how can it be so beautiful and have such a nice story and play so well? It's an amazing game.
We know in our house, usually I am the researcher of what games we should buy, what games we should try, but in this case Elena did her research, and her research is, I really like how this game looks.
Look at all the colors.
Exactly. So we bought it.
It worked, right?
I know. In all honesty, I didn't think you're going to like it so much.
Neither did I.
We're going to go about all our yes and nays later. but it's a pretty good game. But the art is pretty amazing.
It's amazing, isn't
agree,
it? Yes.
I agree. From a color palette, it reminds me a lot of the Bitoku colors. And also, Bitoku colors, yes. But also the busyness of the board reminds me a little bit of Bitoku. So in a first sight, it looks a bit maybe too much, but it's not really too much. Everything makes sense. Iconography for the first game might be a bit on the heavy side, but I think everything comes together after one play.
Theme-wise, apart from it being very inviting and very friendly and fuzzy and all of it, I think it's just a Euro game, and then you do a million stuff around it. And mechanically, the game is very sound and it works very well. And you do, one action cascades into the other, so you can build a plan around it. And the game gives you it's one of these games that gives you quite a lot. It gives you plenty, irrespective of what track you take, which is very, very nice. But the theme is quite pleasant, though. It's quite pleasant.
As we mentioned in the very beginning of the video, the game plays from 1 to 5 players who have played in a couple of different player counts at 2 and 3. It plays very smoothly. I don't think I've been inclined to play it at 5, to be honest with you.
It becomes quite busy after a while, doesn't it?
Exactly. But I can see also the elements of the tracks moving more with more players, so that's a positive thing there. When it comes to time, the box says 90 to 120 minutes. I think this is maybe a fair time for 3 players, but maybe for 4 or 5, maybe becomes a bit longer. But equally, because the time tracker of the game depends on how the monsters become available, not the monsters, the creatures become available on the board. So maybe the game is not that long even with more players.
Yeah, I think you're correct that most of the tracks, so wherever you disembark of the moving track, disembark or of the pilgrimage track, wherever you leave it, most of the tracks at the end do give you a creature, and I keep on calling them animals. It will give you a creature of some sort. So every time one comes out, the round progresses and progresses.
Exactly. The
soundtrack moves over. So it does move very fast in 2 and 3. I'd imagine at 5 you'd literally blink and the game is done, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah, so I don't know how I feel about that. Yeas and nays?
Yes.
Do you want to start?
Yes.
I want to start too.
Okay, so how do we decide?
Rock, paper, scissors.
Okay.
Yes. It took a while, but there you go. My first yay is that this game is super mechanically sound. I think Dani Garcia has put a lot of effort into thinking of what action goes well with what, and I think looking at his previous games, I don't know whether this is number 2 or number 3 game, but
we've played. This is number 2, yes.
We've played. I think he has 3 games out, and we've played all 3 of them. Yes, 3 games. That's it. That's it. I was like, is it 3 games or 2? So we played all 3 games, and I think what Dani Garcia is trying to do is he's trying to get a mechanic that already exists and kind of elevate it or change it a little bit, tweak with it. He keeps on doing these things with a lot of mechanics throughout his games, and I think he does very well this throughout the whole game, throughout Arborea, and I think he does it very well. And he cascades it's not just a dry Euro, but it has a lot of little elements, a lot of little surprises here and there, and everything gives you a little bit of something. There's still the thinking behind it and the planning behind it and stuff like that. There's the world is your oyster and you can do so many things, but it's about these little, it's so well implemented and the mechanics work very, very well together. I really like it.
So I'm not sure how many yays you said over there, because you said so many.
I know,
it's about the mechanics or the combinations or what it's about?
I think it's the way the mechanics are actually implemented with each other and these little pockets of surprises here and there.
My first yay will also be about a particular mechanic.
Don't piggyback on my
No, it's a particular mechanic. And it's about, for me, I will call it Arborea Jolkin, for me, done properly. Jolkin, it's a very good game, but I don't think it works for Elena and I at all. We tried before, then we said maybe we can try it again. We bought it, we tried again. It didn't work for us. We sold it. So both Jolkin and this game have this time element where you basically put your rockets out and you leave them there to basically age. And when they, the more they stay on the board, the better the actions you do, the better combination of actions you do. So that's the common theme for both games. And in this game, in my opinion, works very well. It is very rewarding, and I wouldn't prefer Jolkin at any time over this.
Next here on the list for moi is the resource track. The way they made the resource tracks, they're called biomes in this game, but technically it doesn't really, just resources, I guess, pink, orange, green, whatnot.
Or blue. Yeah.
And blue the wild.
The wild, yes.
Blue is the wild. The game comes with this like little piece of wood that's kind of cut in half. And the top part is going to move up as you gain resources. If you use the resources during your round, the top one moves down as many resources as you use. But let's suppose you took 5 red. I don't even know what that is. Well, never mind.
One of the resources.
You've taken one of the resources, 5 of them during your round, and you've not used any. The bottom part, that's still wherever it is, the difference in between that part and the top part, you will get in points, right? And then the bottom part will just merge with the top part, and those are the resources available for everybody to take if they want to take them, which I think is really cool.
For every step of difference between the two parts, there are particular points you take, and of course for the wild, for the blue, you take more than
Even
the
more, yeah.
than the red. For
They're all
instance,
like written on the board and stuff
exactly.
like that, aren't they?
But it's very rewarding because you have a good choice there. What do? Do I take the points and I leave the resource for the next player, or I use the resources to, let's say, build an ecosystem card? And I would say that this choice is particularly different if you play with 2 or with 4 players.
Correct.
Because 2 players, you say, okay, let me see what my opponent has ecosystem. Okay, he doesn't need a resource, so I will leave it there, I will risk it, and most likely I will use it again in my next turn. The next yay from my side is how the sages work. There are 8 sages in the game, 2 of which are attached to a pilgrimage track. And again, how they work, you give them gifts, and the more you gift them, the more are going to reward you afterwards using that particular tracks. So if you want to go heavy on a particular track or a particular sage, they're going to reward you a lot in the game. And again, the more you leave your worker there, the better path you take. But then the rewards you get from the path, plus the rewards you get from the sage, basically your turn becomes massive. Because so rewarding, so nice, so fulfilling.
Another one from me, because we're still here. I want to mention this positive interaction that the game has throughout the game. Apart from, I mentioned the mechanics at the beginning in general, but generally I think the game does, what it does very well is positive interaction. For example, you've produced a lot of resources this round and you don't want them to go to waste. The game offers you the opportunity to use them, or you will get a lot of points for not using them, which I think is a very good thing. The same with the sages. Obviously, if you are up on the tracks for the sages, the more you interact with the sages, the more you give to the sages, the more the sages will give back. And the same, wherever you go, there are little pockets everywhere on all the tracks of pilgrimage tracks. They all give you a lot of goodies and a lot of good benefits, which is very, very good.
With regards to interaction, I would also say that how the tracks move affects all the players. So you're moving off the tracks. Also, it's good for me if I have workers on the same track. So yeah, there are many elements of
there's no
positive.
pushback
Yes, exactly.
or anything. It's just, get yourself up and everybody moves everybody else.
Another yay from my side is the positive vibe of the game that gives you, not positive interaction, but positive vibe, in the sense that you try to create a world for the creatures or monsters or animals, and then you try to invite them to your board, and from your board to your ecosystem, and if you don't put them in your ecosystem, they go to captivity, and then you have to free them as well from captivity to put them back in your ecosystem. So this positive vibe that you try to create a world for the creatures, I think for me is a good yay, yes.
Righty now, let's go to the names.
Let's go to the names.
Do you want to start with the
I'll
name?
start this time, yes.
Why did you win?
No.
Didn't play? Okay, go for it.
Okay, I'll go for it.
It's fine.
Yeah. Right, I have 2 nays actually. My first nay...
Can we go one at a time?
One at a time, yes.
Okay.
My first nay is that I personally am not a very big fan of how you build your ecosystem as a game element. I mean, overall, in games, tiling is not my favorite mechanic, I would say. There are many games that I like that have the tiling element, like I love Patchwork, for instance, but usually in a heavy game like that, I don't really enjoy it. It feels to me a bit disconnected from the rest of the game. It feels like another puzzle I have to solve within the game, so potentially one too many things to worry about for myself. Also, maybe this is an A for me because I didn't do particularly well in this aspect of the game in my place with Elena, and Elena did very well in this aspect. So yeah, take this with a pinch of salt. Maybe it's me, maybe it's not the game, but yeah, yeah.
Well, you were right. My name is actually linked to... Did I do this? I'm sure we did this in the past. I don't know. It feels like a déjà vu of some sort. My name now is linked to your last yay.
Yeah, we have done it before.
As
Yes.
beautiful as the theme is, and as whimsical as it sounds, and magical, and it's all beautiful and fuzzy, I still feel that the theme is not actually glued to the game, and I just feel that you're doing a million things in there, but I'm not actually feeling like I am, saving creatures or I'm inviting creatures and stuff like that. I am doing a puzzle with all the elements that I have and all the mechanics around, and that's what I'm doing. It's a big puzzle, which is very enjoyable. But I don't think the theme is particularly glued very well to the game.
My second nay is right. Let me tell you the story. So went to the UKG convention. It's the biggest convention here in the UK. It's predominantly let's say buy/demo convention than a play convention. So this is where we pick up the game. And went to the Alicat booth. So we didn't go to any local source or anything like that. Went to the publisher's booth to buy the game, and there were two options. There were the £40 retail edition, and there was a £50 deluxe edition, which included some additional wooden components, but also some little expansions, like modular expansions. And my nay is with regards to that Elena didn't convince me, or I didn't convince Elena to go for the deluxe edition, because I think we like the game, and now I would like to have these deluxe components, to be honest with you.
Can we do a swap? Can we do a trade?
Exactly. To have more variability in the game, if you wish, because there are some elements that you can change the rewards for the sages, for instance, and stuff like that, and another 2 or 3 types of monsters. So I would really like the additional stuff, to be honest with you.
Overall, this is a very sound game with very good mechanics and very well implemented, with little pockets of surprises here and there, plenty of positive interaction and fresh ideas.
Beautiful art, beautiful presentation, very good production as well from Alicat Games. Overall, we recommend this game very much, and we really much enjoyed it.
Righty. As game recommendations, obviously Tolkien is an easy one because we've already mentioned it, and that has to do with the time track.
But I don't recommend Tolkien personally, so...
Well, if you like the time track, then you can try that
Exactly,
one. And if it's not for us, it doesn't mean that nobody should try it. Some people like it and it works for them. It doesn't work for our mind for whatever reason.
That's true.
And it's sad, but that's what it is, and there are a million games out there for everybody to try. My game recommendation today is Galactic Cruise. And I don't think it's out yet at the moment.
No, it's still in production.
It's in production at the moment. I don't think you can back it at the moment, still it's all gone.
I think the late pledge should be open, if not closed yet. I think it should be open at some point. I'm not sure exactly if you can still back it or not.
But technically Galactic Cruise is a Euro game. It's a big, heavy Euro game. And we have done a quick playthrough and we have our opinions right there if you want to have a quick look at them.
So how do you compare it with Arborea?
Do you want a microphone?
Yeah.
How do you compare it?
How do you compare it with Arborea?
I think they're both...
Let me grab the mic.
That was a good one. Yeah. I think they're both very similar is because A, they're both Euro games, and B, I think they have both this very positive interaction, and I think they both have the same thing where you don't get punished for what you do, but it's either the other players will benefit from what you do, or if not, you will get a bunch of points or a bunch of resources thrown at you. So I think this is why I compare them. And I really like that very much about that game. And I'm very happy to see that there are other games that do that very well. And it is fair to mention that another similarity of these games is that in Galactic Cruise, you're trying to satisfy people and, do your little... Because you need to match some stuff to get people onto your cruise up in
Tourists,
space.
Yes.
Tourists. What did I say?
People, passengers.
Passengers. Tourists of some sort.
Yeah.
And in this game, you will try to get, make an ecosystem for creatures to come into your ecosystem.
Yeah.
Oh, did I say the same thing twice, maybe?
Like inviting rockets for your tourists and making an inviting ecosystem for your creatures. Yes.
Yeah, it's the same thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think I can match the recommendation of yours. I think my recommendation is not as good as yours. I will focus on the element of the game that is with regards to the shared resource system, and you have the option to either use the resources or leave them for points. But another game that comes to my mind with let's say this kind of shared economy, if you wish, is Anno 1800 of Martin Wallace. And why I say that is, let's say, if I need sausages and I don't have the sausage factory and Elena has the sausage factory, I can just spend a token, Elena will get a gold, and basically I get access to the sausage. So everybody's happy.
Positive interaction.
Positive interaction and also a shared resource system, which I really like.
Righty then, that was it for today.
That was our game of the month, Arborea.
I hope you enjoyed it.
And thank you so much for watching.
See you later.
Bye.